Hello everybody, thank you for joining us for this webinar on live blood analysis, where we'll be discussing the legitimacy and efficacy of live blood analysis. Please send in your questions throughout the webinar. You'll find a panel on your screen where you can enter your questions. And also don't forget to click on the full screen button to see the webinar in full screen. So let's get started. So what is live blood analysis? Live and dry blood analysis is also known as blood cell analysis, the oxidative stress test, nutritional analysis, and/or nutritional microscopy. Although not so widely known in the UK, it is better known in the US, Russia, South Africa and parts of Europe. It's a simple test. It's conducted by nutritional microscopists to get an overall picture of the blood. The practitioner begins with a small, painless prick of the finger with a sterilized lancet to collect a single drop of blood. This drop is placed on a glass slide and covered to keep the sample intact and slow out the drying process. And the sample is then placed under a high magnification dark field microscope, which is linked to a television monitor or a screen. So live blood analysis is a way to determine how your nutrition is affecting your overall health. It is being advertised in places where health-conscious people frequent. Although it's not considered mainstream or even regulated, by some it is considered an informative complement to traditional medicine. This analysis is just another way to gain some useful insight into your health. So with all the good things that can be said about this testing from alternative practitioners, there's also some opposition. The negativity in the US seems to stem from findings of the Department of Health and Human Resources Office of Inspector General and a law that was passed by Congress in 1988 called the Clinical Laboratory Improvement Amendments. For more clarification, the Health and Human Services states that the Clinical Laboratory Improvement Amendments law establishes quality standard for all laboratory testing to ensure the accuracy, reliability and timeliness of patient test results regardless of where the test was performed. Now, live blood analysis was never able to meet these requirements. Basically, the DHHR, which is the Department of Health and Human Resources Office, feels that the test may be open to too much interpretation. Also, it did not meet personnel requirements because it can be administered by nutritionists, herbologists, naturopaths, and chiropractors. Therefore, it was ultimately considered an unregulated and unreliable test. Now, in my experience, most of the opposition to live blood analysis is from sources that know little about it. For example, even Wikipedia, which we tend to use for all of our definitions in this day and age, defines live blood analysis mistakenly as a diagnostic procedure. As you can see, it says, Wikipedia says, live blood cell analysis claims the ability to diagnose disease from blood examined using dark field microscopy. Live blood analysis, HemoView or nutritional blood analysis is the use of high-resolution dark field microscopy to observe live blood cells. Live blood analysis is promoted by some alternative medicine practitioners who assert that it can diagnose a range of diseases. So, there is no scientific evidence that live blood analysis is reliable or effective, and it has been described as a fraudulent means of convincing patients that they are ill and should purchase dietary supplements. Whoa, so now live blood analysis is not a diagnostic tool and it is not used for diagnosis. There is plenty of scientific evidence that live blood analysis is reliable and effective, and live blood analysis is mainly concerned with changing diet and lifestyle rather than selling dietary supplements. So today, we have asked Dr. Ocker for the answers to some of these questions. Dr. Ocker is unable to join us this evening, but he has sent us the answers to the questions, and we will be recording this webinar again with Dr. Ocker live. We will send you a recording of this. So Dr. Ocker Botha is a registered homeopathic doctor who has established himself as a leader in live and dry blood analysis. Over his years in practice, he has seen the power of live blood analysis in identifying health challenges accurately and motivating patients to make positive changes in their lifestyle and diet. Dr. Ocker has over 14 years' experience in his live blood analysis clinical practice, as well as training many practitioners worldwide in this fascinating technique. He is also considered one of the leading authorities in the field of live blood analysis. So one of the first questions that we put to Dr. Ocker was, is live blood analysis used for diagnosis or diagnosis of disease? And this is his reply. Hi, this is perhaps one of the main reasons why live blood analysis is generally not accepted by conventional medicine. The fact that it is expected to work as a diagnostic tool. As you pointed out, the Department of Health and Human Resources in the USA found live blood analysis to be unreliable, but they were assessing its reliability as a diagnostic test. Any practitioner that has received proper training in live blood analysis knows that this technique is not used to diagnose medical diseases. Its value doesn't lie in its ability to detect some medical disease from a drop of blood, but rather to evaluate the state of the body's internal environment, what we refer to as the terrain. By assessing the condition of the terrain, we're able to detect imbalances that may precede the development of a specific condition. And in cases where a medical condition already exists, these imbalances play a major role in the quality of life that the person experiences. So, do we have any questions so far on this? Let me see. Any questions so far? No, we don't seem to have any questions on that, so let's continue. Is live blood analysis used for, what is the scientific evidence for live blood analysis? It really includes two questions. What is the history of live blood analysis? Where did it all start and why? So the first thing I should mention, what Dr. Ocker says, is that there is a fair degree of overlap between live blood analysis and standard hematology. We're looking at the blood, so we do see the same morphologies that can be seen in peripheral blood smears, traditional blood tests. Signs like acanthocytes, podocytes, leukocytes, keratocytes, hypersegmented neutrophils, etc. They're all described in hematology and have been subjected to years of scientific research. However, because we're looking at live blood that has not been altered in any way, there are a whole host of other signs that may be detected and that have been connected to specific nutritional imbalances, dietary and lifestyle factors through years of clinical work. One of the first pioneers in live blood analysis was Professor Marcel Bessies, a French hematologist who lectured at the University of Paris in the 1960s and 70s. Now, he wrote a number of books describing the value of evaluating blood in a living, unchanged and non-stained state. He believed that all hematology labs should change from analyzing stained blood samples to live samples, mainly because with live samples you're able to observe the dynamic life processes at the cellular level unfolding in real time. He says you can capture events and sequences that are impossible to see in static dead stained slides, i.e. traditional blood tests. Since Professor Basie, there have been other researchers that have continued to connect the dots between what is seen in the blood and the client's state of health, and ultimately to the interventions that are consistently successful in correcting a specific anomaly. Thanks to the work of these researchers, we now understand the physiological basis of most live blood anomalies. In other words, we know the underlying processes that lead to the development of a particular anomaly in the blood. For example, in live blood analysis, we always treat the presence of fibrin as a liver stress indicator. We now know that there are two separate mechanisms for the fibrin formation that relate to the liver. Firstly, fibrin is formed from fibrinogen, one of the acute phase proteins which is produced by the liver in response to inflammation. Secondly, heparin, an anticoagulant factor, is degraded in liver diseases. Even a moderate deficiency in serum heparin levels may accelerate fibrin production. Then there was also Professor Enderlein, a German bacteriologist from the early 20th century, who developed a theory called pleomorphism. Now, some live blood analysis courses only teach blood analysis from a pleomorphic perspective. This is also another cause for controversy because pleomorphism is not accepted by conventional medicine. The research into the validity of pleomorphism has been relatively inconclusive, so we don't spend a lot of time on the pleomorphic perspective of the various blood anomalies in our course. There have been a number of scientific studies that prove the link between specific blood anomalies and specific health challenges. For example, the presence of thrombocyte aggregation, which is groups of platelets sticking together, has been shown to be strongly associated with an increased rate at risk of heart disease. Another study showed that there was a strong correlation between live blood analysis and conventional tests on points such as iron deficiency, vitamin B12 deficiency, liver disease, neutrophilia, and high cholesterol. But here they tested for conditions that can be verified by conventional tests, and this borders on medical diagnosis. Now, the real challenge is in designing a study to effectively assess the ability of live blood analysis to detect the conditions it is ideally suited to detect, i.e. the imbalances within the terrain. There really are no conventionally accepted tests for latent tissue acidosis or toxicity or an intestinal candida overgrowth. So the unique ability of live blood analysis to detect these conditions makes it very difficult to develop an objective study to test its accuracy. The best is to perhaps consider a large-scale retrospective survey to assess the changes experienced by clients after live blood analysis. Very well answered, Dr. Ocker. Thank you very much. Do we have any questions, any more questions so far? Not at the moment. So the next question is, why does live blood analysis attract such negative press? And here Dr. Ocker answers that live blood analysis is a tool used by natural health practitioners. Unfortunately, there is still a great divide between conventional medicine and complementary medicine, I'll say so, because the two philosophies are so different. Here we have a tool that can be used to detect conditions that conventional medicine is largely still in denial about, such as the need for detoxification, heavy metal toxicity, latent acidosis, and so on. So he says, I think it's fair to expect some resistance from conventional medicine as a result of that. The other factor is, of course, the fact that most medically trained practitioners don't know anything about live blood analysis and immediately assume that it must be a diagnostic tool. Also, some negative press comes from the perception that live blood analysis is only used to sell products. There are, of course, some practitioners who use it as a tool to sell their clients a bunch of supplements, and the negative press is justified in these cases. However, the problem does not lie with live blood analysis, but rather with greedy people who are only interested in profits and not in giving their clients value for money. Now, this is not unique to live blood analysis. Other tests are used in the same way, and the same types of people are found in every other industry as well. We can't deny the delivery of a useful service because of the abuse of a few charlatans. If we did that, we would have no healthcare system at all. Thank you for that, Dr. Ocker. Now, the next question is live blood analysis legal? And Dr. Ocker's answer to this is, live blood analysis is not regulated, although there are restrictions in place in some states in the USA. Aside from the USA, if you can show that you have received formal training in live blood analysis, you will be able to use this technique provided you don't make any claims about diagnosis. We have not been able to find out which states in the USA have restrictions about live blood analysis, but I know of practitioners all across the USA that use live blood analysis without any incident, although of course one always has to be careful. Depending on your scope of practice from your other qualifications to prescribing treatment. Dr. Ocker goes on to say that most of my clients in the USA state that they use live blood analysis as a tool to educate their clients about the impact of diet and nutrition on their health. Now the next question is, can anyone take the blood sample or does it have to be a medical doctor? And Dr. Ocker's answer to this is, it is just a finger prick, so anyone can do it. I haven't come across any restrictions for lancing fingers. It's only when blood is drawn from blood vessels that a nurse or doctor needs to do it. And the next question is, some people might think that it all sounds too good to be true. Is there a catch? His answer is no. As long as you use live blood analysis for what it is intended to be used for, you won't experience the benefits of live blood analysis if you try to use it to diagnose medical diseases, or if you don't have sufficient training in the theory and practice, or if you don't have a good enough microscope system. So basically it's saying that as long as you use it for what it's intended to be used for and not as a diagnostic tool, and also to get the best training in theory and practice and have a very good microscope system. And the next question, why don't doctors and hospitals use live blood analysis? Very good question. The value of live blood analysis lies in assessing the health of the body's internal environment to highlight imbalances that can be corrected through nutrition, dietary and lifestyle interventions. It is primarily a preventative tool for people who are proactive about their health. The conventional medical system is more concerned with disease care, i.e. diagnosing and managing diseases with drugs and surgery, rather than preventing diseases and helping the body to heal itself. So that's why doctors and hospitals don't use live blood analysis. Now, Dr. Ocker then goes on to say, or answer the question, what is the difference between traditional blood tests and live blood analysis? And here he sent us a chart. Conventional blood tests use stained dead blood, venous blood, anticoagulant is added, it's viewed hours later, only a few parameters are tested. That's true, they only test for certain parameters and they don't test for things in general. Conventional blood test is concerned with diagnosing disease and the client only sees a report. Now with live and dry blood analysis, it's using live blood, capillary blood, nothing is added, it's viewed immediately, many parameters are tested, it's concerned with the prevention of disease, the client sees their blood and gets their report immediately. And we've come to the end of the questions, unless we have any more. Do we have any more questions here? Let me just see. Should the slides be changing? Don't quite understand that question. Oh, you mean the slides on the webinar? Yes, they certainly should. You should be seeing a table now with conventional blood tests and live and dry blood analysis. Are you seeing that? Just bear with me while I answer this question. The slides aren't changing. Okay. Well, I'm very sorry about that. Let me see what I can do here. Just bear with me. Okay, I'm not so sure what that is about. Are you seeing a table now with the difference between traditional blood tests? Okay, I'm very sorry about that. Do bear in mind that this, we are sending out a recording of the webinar, and it will be live with Dr. Ocker, and also we'll have all the screens on there. So very sorry about that. It's been disaster evening this evening. So just on to the next slide anyway, where we can show you. If you do have any questions or you'd like to know more about live blood analysis, please visit our website, which is www.livebloodonline.com, and also if you have any questions, info@livebloodonline.com as well. So thank you very much for joining us. I hope that's been useful to you, and I hope it's cleared up a lot of misinformation and answered some of your questions. Dr. Ocker's very kindly answered some questions very clearly and precisely. But please, if you do have any more questions, because we will be re-recording this, please email them to us at info@livebloodonline.com, and then we'll include them in the live recording, which we will be sending out to you as soon as we possibly can. And also, if you're interested in taking our training course, please email us at info@livebloodonline.com, and also get some information about it at www.livebloodonline.com. So again, thank you for joining us. We hope that you'll join us again in the near future for some of our more topics about live blood analysis, and we will send you out the recording live with Dr. Ocker, hopefully sometime tomorrow. So again, thank you very much for joining us. Sorry about the disasters. I look forward to speaking to you again. Thank you very much, and bye for now.